Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Welcome, Director Wray. Director Wray, we're in the midst of a critical election year, and the American people need to be able to count on a fair process. Are you concerned about election interference this year? A yes or no answer will suffice.
Am I concerned about election interference? Yes.
I'd like to talk about one specific threat, one specific concern that I have. Several federal laws prohibit using governmental authority to interfere in federal elections. And the FBI would be in charge of investigating such a violation of federal law were it to occur. Is that correct?
I'd have to think about the specific examples, but certainly there's a range of types of interference in elections that we have authorities to pursue. So I guess it depends on the facts, the specific factual scenario.
Certainly happened. I know the FBI has investigated extensively in the past in this arena. Here we have a situation that's unprecedented. No former president, no major candidate for president has ever been prosecuted criminally in American history. Yet now we have a situation where the incumbent president's major candidate, major opponent, is being prosecuted in 5 separate jurisdictions all by Democrat partisan prosecutors, and all of this culminating right in the middle of an election season. Does that sound to you like coordinated election interference, or is that just a coincidence?
Well, I'm not going to discuss pending state criminal prosecutions. That's not something I would ever do. I'm
talking about utilizing governmental authority to interfere in an election. Let me get more specific. What we saw happen last week was Alvin Bragg, who ran on a platform of getting Trump, do just that with a flimsy made-up theory and a criminal conviction. Just this weekend, the leader of the Soros organization came out and advised Democrats to repeat the slogan, "convicted felon," so it could be imprinted on voters' minds. Alvin Bragg facilitated that imprint and did just that. Is that coordinated election interference, or is that just a coincidence that would happen?
Again, with all due respect, I'm not going to talk about, you're talking about a state.
Well, I'll go to a federal level then. Right. If you look back to April of 2022, the New York Times reported that President Biden had told his advisors that he wanted Donald Trump prosecuted. That was printed in the New York Times. Just days after President Trump announces that he's going to enter the election process, Merrick Garland appoints Jack Smith to prosecute Trump, President Biden's opponent. Is this coordinated election interference to go after your opponent in a federal election using the Justice Department to do it?
You're asking about a special counsel appointment by the Attorney General and a pending federal case that is in front of a federal judge, and it's not something that I can appropriately discuss here.
Well, here's another situation. When Letitia James was running for New York Attorney General, she campaigned to get Trump. In fact, Representative Dan Goldman called it an individualized political vendetta. Does it seem that using the criminal justice system for a political vendetta is election interference, or is that just a coincidence too?
Again, I'm just not going to weigh in on pending state criminal cases. It's not an appropriate role for the FBI.
If the FBI has the duty to investigate violations of federal law, and federal law prohibits the use of governmental authority to interfere in elections, particularly a presidential election of this consequence, the FBI is not investigating, and I presume, who's going to investigate it? Who's going to look into this?
Well, again, I'm not going to talk about who we are or are not investigating because that's not something that's appropriate for me under DOJ rules. I can tell you that we are going to do our part, and we have one part in protecting our elections from the threats that we have jurisdiction to investigate.
Well, the way the legal stars have aligned in this circumstance is deeply concerning, not only to me, but to the American people. And I just stepped through a number of situations where it certainly appears that there is a coordinated effort to go after the president's main political rival. And it's happening, all of these are convening right at the same time, right in the middle of an election year. They're using facts or theories from years past, but all of it is coming together right at this point in time. It certainly looks like a coordinated effort to me, and it certainly looks like the type of thing that the FBI should be investigating. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Hagerty. I would just point out that I think there are There are a number of people who do not support that conspiracy theory. So I appreciate that you have that view.
If it's
I
a
think it's
conspiracy, the way
appropriate
this aligns
that
is the most
others
incredible
don't
thing
have
I've
that
ever
view.
seen, Madam Chairman.
And I share the director's view that that's not appropriate for the director of the FBI to comment on. Senator